Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. This is Mr. Comics 89. We are doing season 5 at last of the Knockout. I want to try and get back into this show here. I enjoy doing an awful lot. We're doing it different at this time here. I am scheduled to be shipped off on deployment in June. So I'm not sure if I'll be able to continue it while I'm in Asia, but I still hope to try and be able to do it. If not, this is definitely just a me, myself, and I, because I do not have scheduled guests for this season. What we are doing this time here is we have 24 contestants of Spider-Man. This season is season 5. It's called the Knockout Season 5 Battle of the Web. We got 24 Spider characters that we're going to see who is the best. Basically it's more of it's not less of a fight who would win in a fight, but more of a pros of each, how they would fight, how they would work against other characters in general, all characters in general, not just the opponent they're facing, their strengths, their weaknesses, and ultimately how they fare off against the person that they're fighting here. And then we just debate that, talk about that. If I have a guest, great. If not, I'll be doing it myself. And we will be doing it, and then we would vote on, like before, we'd vote on which Spider character would move forward. So if it's Spider-Man versus Peter Parker Spider-Man versus Miles Morales Spider-Man, we vote on the two. Who would win, who we like better, all of it comes together in one thing, and then that person goes on to the second round. So here are the contestants that we have for both. Let me see if I can get it on here. Here we go. There we go. We got Spider-Man from Earth 616, basically Spider-Man Prime, Miles Morales, Spider-Hulk, Cyborg Spider-Man, and I opened this up to a lot of Spider fans on Instagram, part of a chat, and to basically vote on some of their favorites. We got Spider-Man UK, Spider-Punk, the newly minted Spider-Not, Spider-Man Juggernaut, a lot of cool guy, that guy. Spider-Man 2099, Superior Spider-Man, Last Stand Spider-Man, the Six-Armed Spider-Man when he had 6 arms, Iron Spider, Scarlet Spider, more specifically Ben Reilly, Weapons 8 from the Spider-Verse stories, Cosmic Spider-Man, Spider-Gwen, Symbiote Spider-Man, Spider-Carnage, Spider-Man Noir, Sorcerer Spider-Man, Spider-Girl, specifically Mayday, Spider-Boy, specifically the Amalgam Spider-Man, where it's the clone of, I think, Spider-Man with the clone, where they took Superboy and Spider-Man and made him one character in the Amalgam universe. That Spider-Boy, not the new one. Punisher Spider-Man, and just because I know he's a popular favorite, I threw in Spider-Ham. So those are the contestants that we're doing, and they will fill in this bracket right here. So it is really cool. I look forward to it. I look forward to this season a lot. Spider-Man is my favorite character. I always wanted to have him be a part of the show and just something central on him just because I'm Spider-Man focused. So anyone who's seen the last few seasons, specifically the last 3 seasons, knows that we do this with a will. We create a giant wheel that we take a giant wheel that we spin here. And then we spin it. We will come up with a list here, and they form up, in all the brackets. So we have 12 on each side here. I'll spin the wheel the first round with the first name. We shuffle it again. We spin it. The next person is who they would fight. So, yep, let's get to it. So I realize I only have one person watching currently right now by the looks of it. Welcome, whoever you are. I'm mainly doing this just for myself and for fun. So let's get the wheel started, shall we? Since we have season 5, we'll shuffle it 5 times. And now let's see where we end up here. First name on the list for round 1. We got Spider-Man 2099. Awesome. Let me get that name written on here. Let's see. And you guys are not going to see me, unfortunately, working this behind here. So let's see if I can do it as fast as I can. All right. All right, so that one's done. We will remove Spider-Man 2099, Miguel O'Hara. Shuffle it a couple more times. Now, who is the infamous 2099 Spider-Man facing? I think a good match for him would also be Spider-Ham. I'd like to see that, but I don't think so. Looks like we are coming up with Cyborg Spider-Man. Specifically the one that Todd McFarlane drew. So Cyborg Spider-Man. All right, round 1, Cyborg Spider-Man versus Spider-Man 2099. Very, very cool. I look forward to that fight. I'm gonna have to see if Rob from Only Slabs would like to debate that with me, because I know he loves Spider-Man 2099. So I want to basically offer him the chance to be on there and do that, because I am not a big fan of 2099. So I would like to see someone who is specifically a fan of him argue his case. All right, round 2. Who do we have? We got, looks like we're gonna have Spider-Ham by the looks of it. All right, let me get that name up here. Spider-Ham. Awesome. All right. Who is Boat Snack? A little shout out to Moana there. Fighting. Let's see. Hard to tell where that ends there. Superior Spider-Man. I can't imagine a more contrasting matchup, honestly, than that one. You got the seriousness of Doc Ock versus the cartoon. Almost put Spider-Ham again. That one is definitely a match that'll be very interesting to see. All right. What do we have here for episode 3? Looks like we're gonna have Sorcerer Spider-Man. All right. And I'm a little curious on what sorcerer we're gonna be arguing, technically speaking, because I'm not sure if we got the sorcerer basically where Spider-Man had the cloak in the What If. We had technically a sorcerer Spider-Man here in the 8 Deaths of Spider-Man. And so it'll be very interesting to see what we end up with for these contestants. All right, who are you facing off against, Mr. Sorcerer? Spider-Man UK. Cool. I know of this character, but I don't really know much about him. So I look forward to doing research on UK, not up. All right. Cool, cool. All right, remove that one. All right, we are now on episode 1, 2, 3, episode 4. Episode 4, okay. Who is the first round of this one? Let's get this party started. Yeah, yeah. All right, looks we got one of my personal favorites, I think, coming up here. Cosmic Spider-Man by the looks of it. I like the look of Cosmic Spider-Man. He is just so cool. And I love the cover of him just punching the Hulk, going into space and all that. It is just a wickedly cool character. All right. Who is the sucker that has to face off against him? Because honestly, if these two are fighting, whoever these two fighting, I don't see much of a chance of anyone going off against. Ooh. Ooh. Spider Boy. Well, I feel sorry for Spider Boy. It would be interesting to see him face off against someone else. You know, right in the beginning, because now that's kind of an unfair fight, I imagine. But that's the way of the draw. The will decides who the fighters are, not me. So I only selected the contestants here. The will pins them together. So easiest fair. So who is the next round? Spider Girl. Awesome. All right, Spider Girl begins episode 5. Let's skip this. And remember, it's specifically Spider Girl from Mayday's universe, not any of the other Spider Girls that have popped up. All right. Who is Mayday fighting? I kind of want to see her go up against. This one is interesting. Spider Carnage. That is an interesting matchup here. So we got Spider Carnage. Well, she's faced off against Symbiote before. I imagine she can handle another one. All right. Who is the episode 6? The end of the first half of the round 1. Looks like we're finally getting around to Miles Morales here. Good old Miles Morales, originally from the Ultimate Universe. And honestly, I think whoever argues Miles Morales has a lot going for his side. Or whoever does argue, because he has a lot of talent, I think, and that his Venom Blast, his swords that he creates are awesome. What does he gonna face? Ooh, 6-armed Spider-Man. Well, I think Miles would have a chance against this guy, honestly. But we'll have to see, because this looks like a fun matchup. All right. That is the end of round one, or season of the left side of round one. Now we start off with episode 7 here. Who do we have to face off with these two characters? Who's the first one? Spider-Gwen it is. Gwen Stacy. We got ourselves a good start. There's plenty to argue from this one, from her appearances in the Spider-Verse and her early things in the comic books where she has quote-unquote limited webbing, and the later on the Venom symbiote, in a sense, that's part of her powers and all that happens, and that's how she gets more webbing. And just, it was an interesting character to begin with, her origin story. So let's see, who's she facing off against? Ooh, that's a tough one. Remember, Hulk, don't smash. Don't hit the girls. Wow. That is a brutal fight for Spider-Gwen. I said Spider-Gwen again, my bad. Spider-Hulk. Well, and like I said, this is not purely just on who is the most powerful. You know, if we had that regard, yeah, Spider-Hulk clearly the most powerful, but Hulk loses fights all the time. You know, you have to be able to outsmart the Hulk, not just purely outfight him. So, you never know. Spider-Man Noir is the next episode, episode 8. So, Spider-Man Noir. Ah. Okay. Next contestant, who is Noir facing? Who is Noir going to face off against? I think he should face off against regular Spider-Man. I want to see regular Spider-Man face off against Noir. I thought for a second there we were going to have the Spider Knot there, but nope, we have Weapons 8. Cool. Of course, what this really means here too is we don't have a chance to see Spider Knot versus. We don't have a chance to see Spider Knot versus Spider Hulk in the final fight, which would be very cool to see. You know, in the final championship matchup, ultimately, they're going to face off. They most likely would be facing off at some point beforehand. You know, but you never know. People might vote for who they choose to vote for, and we don't get to see that fight because of reasons. But either way, a Spider-Man Hulk versus Spider Knot will be definitely a fist fight for the century. Spider Punisher or Punisher Spider-Man, I don't know exactly what to call him, so I'm calling him Punisher Spider-Man. I made this last night, the wheel last night, so we got Punisher. Honestly, all the what if Spider-Man, Spider Punisher is probably, or Punisher Spider-Man is probably one of my favorites. I like the concept of a evil Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Just that a push to do things that other characters would do. Just not as a character in general, but just as an idea of things. All right. Next up is Spider-Punk. Punisher Spider-Man against Spider-Punk. Yeah, that's an ironic matchup, honestly. You got the anarchist versus chaos enforcer, or whatever we want to call Punisher Spider-Man. That is a fight for sure. All right. We're approaching this is 9. No, this is episode 10. This is episode 10. Who is first to face off? All right, Spider-Knot is the first contestant. Is the first contestant in episode 8 here. Cool. All right. Now, before I hit play here, I spin here. Ultimately, I think the only person who might have a chance to face off against Spider-Knot, if they, strictly speaking, is maybe Symbiote Spider-Man or Peter Parker Spider-Man. You know, because after all, our 616 Spider-Man in the comics did stop the Juggernaut temporarily in that cement. So there is a chance. Symbiote Spider-Man it is. All right. Spell it right. All right, all right, all right. We got ourselves a fun fight. All right. Now we are going off against, this is episode 11. Iron Spider. All right. This is Iron Spider, basically one of the your choice, I guess, in spider suits between, you know, who had the better suit. You know, comic book or you know, movie, basically, which Iron Spider suit did you like the most? All right. So now is a choice here. The last, whoever the name lands on is who Iron Spider goes against, and the last two obviously will be the ones in the final final round of the first round. So, who is round 11? Looks like it's going to be Scarlet Spider because of how the angle is. All right, Scarlet Spider faces off against the Iron Spider. All right. Very nice. Which means round 12 goes to Spider-Man, Peter Parker versus Last Stand Spider-Man. And I will show you the full page here in a second. All right. Let me bring the screen up real quick. All right. Here we go. Here is season 5 of the Knockout, Battle of the Web. Round 1, we got Spider-Man 2099 versus Cyborg Superman, Spider-Ham versus Superior Spider-Man, Sorcerer Spider-Man versus Spider-Man UK, Cosmic Spider-Man versus Spider-Boy from the Amalgam Universe, Mayday Spider-Girl versus Spider-Carnage, Miles Morales versus Spider-Man with his 6 arms, Spider-Gwen facing the Spider-Hulk, Spider-Man Noir facing Weapons 8, which kind of works. They're dark and gritty characters. They kind of go together. It's Punisher Spider-Man versus Spider-Punk. That is a matchup that was like made to be. I think that'd be really fun to see those two fight against each other. Spider-Not versus Symbiote Spider-Man. Iron Spider versus the Scarlet Spider, which is Ben Riley, not Kane. Spider-Man Earth 616 versus the Last Stand Spider-Man. So those are the contestants here. Like I said, I will be doing this thing slightly different. If I have to do it myself because I'm busy with doing my job in the Army and deployment, so be it. But I hope to have other people on as guests to talk about it. I think it'd be a lot of fun, to have more than people there because, like, especially characters like, Miguel O'Hara in 2099 or other people who like Spider-Ham. I personally don't understand the character. I don't find him as funny as other people do. I mean, yeah, I like cartoons like every other kid growing up, but Spider-Ham was like, okay, so, but other people love Spider-Ham. That kind of thing. So just other people might have better takes on, I love this character and here's why. And they could say the pros and the cons of each character, and we can debate how they'd face off against characters in general, because I would really like to see, because like, for example, Spider-Ham here. If he was, he's in the Spider-Verse, yes, but let's take him out of his Ham universe and put him in the 616, swap places with those Spider-Men. How would Spider-Ham face off against our Doc Ock? Or no, in our universe, his Mysterio. In his universe, it's Moose Stereo. That kind of a thing. So how would Spider-Ham face off against a human version of his villains versus everything else? That's what I mean. That's what I mean to accomplish by this. So, whenever I get this started, it'd be great. I hope to have other people join me, and if not, I understand completely. We're all busy, but it'll be fun to have these things debated nonetheless. So this probably won't be as exciting as my usual knockouts in the past because I am still struggling to find that work-home life balance, and to keep my other hobbies, other passions going. I love my channel here. I love doing Mr. Comics 89, but it's a lot harder to do videos when I am busy. I seem to be, I'm busier in other responsibilities, just things that have to get done. I am always on the clock now, basically. Yeah, I go home at the end of the day from my job, but quote unquote, in the Army, I am always at work. So, I'm still gonna find my balance here, but it's probably gonna take longer than I would like to. So, hope you guys enjoy season 5 of the Knockout. If you're interested in arguing for any of these characters or your views on these characters, hit me up in the comments below, and I can reach out to you on Instagram or YouTube and do it. Like I said, it's not a actual fight like the other competitions were before. It's been, where who would win this fight against this person? Boom, boom. It's more like finding the best version of Spider-Man. Both popularity and strength. If these 24 characters really went head to head in the knockout in a real tournament like this, who would be the ultimate Spider-Man? Who would be the strongest Spider-Man? Who's the strongest Spider-Man? who's the smartest, who's the strongest, who's just the all-around best Spider-Man. And that's what we're looking for in this here. We're voting. So thank you guys for watching. Tune in next time for the knockout and other videos on my channel. Take care. Happy collecting.